Happy Halloween from Drew Mania. Good evening, everybody. How you doing today? And welcome to another latest edition of Drew Mania Live Podcast. Nice to have you with us for this Tuesday, the 30th day of October, the year 2017. And of course, I am Andrew L. Perry. Coming to you live in Hanchu from the busy streets of Brooklyn, New York. And this is your one-way sports talk. You can listen to my show live on Spreaker.com. And later on, and also listen to it on Spreaker Podcast. Both you could download the app on Google Play Store. Well, we got plenty of World Series to talk about, which starts 30 minutes from now. First pitch will start around 8:10, I believe, as the Astros look to capture their first World Series title in World Series history, and they're sending a guy that never lost a postseason game yet this year, and his name is Justin Verlander. As for the Dodgers, they look to extend. On the other hand, the Dodgers look to extend a seventh game of the World Series, as they go for Hughes Darvish for the Dodgers, who they acquired from the Texas Rangers. And before we get into the World Series, let's spend a little before we spend a little time on the Monday Night Football game. But let's hear some breaking news about what happened in Lower Manhattan for those between right around where West Street and Chambers Street, that the attack that happened around 3:45, 3:36, around 3 o'clock, where it was confirmed as a terrorist attack. Several people. It was shots fired. It was a guy who was driving a pickup truck and just did a massive shooting around the cyclist on the cyclist line in Lower Manhattan, and couple of people injured, but 6 is recorded dead. At least 6 people are dead, and at least 15 people is injured, and the good news is in custody, and it breaks your. And every time you hear a death like that, it really really breaks your heart, especially if it's a murder that is very very scary, and no words cannot describe. No one can. It's just get to the point. We already got we. It's like we can't. It's like the more and more it gets scary in this world, and I don't know. At some point, what can you do from it? But here's the good news. Here's the good news. The guy's in They have the guy in custody, which is good. Thank God. And New York and the federal and the states, they most likely the FBI and all that got into it immediately. And so far, they are doing their job, and they did a good job with that. And one other thing too, the Halloween parade is underway. So if you're going to West Street, if you're going to West West Street or Chamber Street, right around that area, please just be careful. Just be careful. Have fun trick or treating. Get all the candy that you need. Do all the trick or treating, and just make sure that our condolences go out to everyone who's injured and who lost a family and stuff like that. I just want to throw that out there before we start the telecast. All right, let's get back to the sports but and then we get back to the sports. Let's talk about I want to spend a little time on Monday Night Football, which was really not a game, really wasn't a game at all. 29-10, the Kansas City Chiefs beat the Denver Broncos as it was supposed to be AFC West showdowns between, on paper, two best teams in the AFC West. And the Chiefs defense, let me tell you something. The Chiefs defense, I don't know what they did, but they did a phenomenal job. They forced five turnovers, and one of them is, I think, one of the best safeties in the NFL, which is Marcus Peters, who forced not one but two turnovers, and he got an interception, and 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 Tyreek Hill threw, and then they capitalized on two touchdowns. Alex Smith capitalized on two touchdowns, throwing to Ezekiel, and in the first half, and then the defense just pretty much didn't do nothing. I'm gonna be honest, the Broncos couldn't do nothing in this game. You really couldn't. You really couldn't. Yes, they tried to make it interesting they tried to make it interesting in the second half, but it was too much Kansas City in my mind. I think Kansas City is a way better team than Denver. And but before the game, they say I saw on social media that the Broncos have the number one defense in not allowing a touchdown. Well, I guess Kansas City wasn't paying attention to that number as they scored three touchdowns. And what can you say about Alex Smith? One of the most underappreciated quarterback in the NFL, and in my opinion, one of the underrated quarterback in the NFL. This guy could do it all. Ever since he joined Kansas City, he could run, he could throw, and the good thing about it, he makes throws after the run. I mean, he got some arm, and there's a lot of weapons in Kansas City. But I still think Kansas City, as I said to myself, I think Kansas City is good enough to win the West. But are they good enough to beat New England and or teams like that? And to me, that's where Kansas City have to do a better job, or should I say, perhaps do a much better job with clock management because they don't do. I don't think they don't do well when they play behind. But with that said, Kansas City is in a real good spot. They have one of the best. This team had one of the best records in football behind the Philadelphia Eagles, and Kansas City have the best home field advantage in the AFC. Obviously, with that crowd noise, but they got to win at home. They got to win at home in the postseason. That's the only way they're going to move forward. And as far as the Broncos is concerned, look, it's obviously the Broncos hasn't been the same since Peyton Manning. Their defense hasn't been the same. And Travis Simeon, like I told you in the Giant game, they miss Brock Osweiler. They really do. I don't know what they saw in Travis Simeon, but Travis Simeon is not, to me, he's not. He's an okay quarterback, but not awesome. I'm sorry, he's not. And I don't see why we keep why. Well, you don't hear much about Travis Simeon anyway to begin with. But in my estimation, I don't think he's the type of quarterback that could lead you that could lead the Broncos to a Super Bowl, or better yet, to lead them to a division. They're not that good. They're really not, in my estimation. And they have. What can I tell you? What can I tell you? But the bottom line is this: Kansas City won, and now they look after. And here's the important thing too: Kansas City bounced back after a win against Oakland, which was a heartbreaking loss to say the least. But now Kansas City, they're in first place. They're gonna win the division, obviously. But I don't. In my opinion, they are not good enough. I think to win the Super Bowl. But this is the NFL we're talking about. You never know. You never know. And enough. And when on that note, we put a finishing tie. Now the game tonight with game number 6 of the 2017 World Series. And if you're the Astros and Justin Verlander is simply this. Hope Justin Verlander goes through the ninth. Because you can't have no confidence in this Astro bullpen. As I said this during the beginning of in the beginning of the series, they the Astros bullpen is not strong. They're not strong at all. And they prove it time after time after time again. Better yet, they prove it in the postseason a couple of times against the Yankees and now the Dodgers. And Justin Verlander, to me, has to be hands on deck tonight. He has to pitch superb. If Justin Verlander goes through the ninth, he'd be in good shape. Otherwise, we are going to Game 7. And just like the Yankees in the American League Championship Series, the Astros, you cannot think about Game 6. You got to wrap it up tonight. If they don't wrap it up tonight, it's going to be very, very, very tough to win Game 7 on the road, especially against a very good Dodgers team, who also has a superior offense, who can have guys that can hit 300, whose RBI's machine, and they could do so much damage. Now for the Dodgers, I thought their bullpen was strong, and the reason why I thought because of Jansen. Well, Jansen just looked flat. He looked flat, especially in Game 5. And